All right. Sweet. I'm live. So it's the first time I've been live. And well, actually, it's not the first time I've been live, but it's like one of the times I've been live talking about this. So back in 2024, I was told to do some certain things to try to do things right. Yeah. In 2020, there was something that happened, and a lot of people didn't believe me back then because a lot of people wanted to be well. What happened in 2020 was, you know, I'd already owned up to it, already dealt with it, already was held responsible for it. Every single one of them decided to stalk me for 6 years. So for 6 years, I was stalked and harassed, terrorized and tortured. They didn't own up to it. They didn't apologize for it. Everything that they've done to me was very, very evil. So I don't know why they started stalking me in 2024. In 2024, I go to a coffee shop because I wanted to go on a date. I asked Ariana Grande out on a date to go to a coffee shop. She agreed. And I went to go show up to the coffee shop, and everybody in the city showed up to the coffee shop. What I didn't know at the time was that these people were talking to her. They were trying to kind of persuade her to stay away from me. And I didn't know why at the time. Um, they made up some really evil things about me, things that they had red flags about, and that's what retard was saying about me, at least. Now, with the coffee shop, this happened so much, and this is just like a little sliver of what's been happening for the past 2 years. So she does some really evil, wicked things to me. They're talking for like literally, I was at the coffee shop first. I sit down at a big table, and it's such a big place, like I wanted to find the comfiest spot because it's cozy there. And I had my journal with me at the time, which was a great journal, and I was writing down in it. I was just chilling, minding my own business, doing nothing, saying nothing to anybody. Really, I didn't really say anything to anybody except, the casual stuff like, can I have this for my coffee? I'm waiting for this person, yada, yada, yada. Just preparing the date and the scene. Now, when she would have shown up there, I would have bought her coffee. She would have been the one to pick it up and grab it herself and then go sit down and we would chat. That's how a normal date goes. These people didn't believe me that I was dating somebody in 2021 right after that horrible thing happened. Um, it was long distance and it was casual. Like it was good. It taught me a lot about myself. And this person's name, I'm not going to say completely, but she was like a YouTuber on YouTube. And she was really nice to me. You know, the reason that we split up is because she found somebody else that was closer to her and all the other stuff. So it's whatever. It was mutual, you know. But like in 2024, when I'm trying to be with Ariana, these two people that I haven't talked to in years decide to show up out of the blue. They're doing some sort of podcast. I had no idea what it was at the time. They're gaslighting me, saying all this stuff about me. They're talking about the past because they can't get past it, you know. This was their way of getting past it and stuff. Now, I understand that they had held on to resentment for that long. I understand that they were so hurt about it. What I don't understand is why they did what they did after the fact. After everything was all said and done, why did they do that? So they went on and on and on for a while. I sat there, took most of the heat, just sat there, writing in my journal, minding my business. There's this guy that I know that his daughters used to do volleyball and basketball. And they show up there because they're one of them's married to a now firefighter who I know who I used to coach for basketball. Um, they're talking about me too because they've joined in on the conversation. Her father comes up to me and asks me for an extra chair because they wanted to use it. I'm like, sure, whatever. You know, I'm like, I don't mind, you know. And I was being nice. I was being sincere. I was doing whatever I could, but I was also trying to avoid them, trying to ignore them as they sat next to me, you know, not in the same spot, but just like in the same like atmosphere, pretty much like at a table next to me, but like far enough apart, you know. And I'm sitting there and I'm just journaling, writing down ideas, writing down how my day is, you know, all this type of stuff. And they come up and the two come in like literally an hour after I showed up at the coffee shop. What's ironic is, and I'll say this, they had a cop there. This cop was driving a Dodge Challenger, I think, at the time. He still does around town. I recognize it every time I get out. Um, he came up to my door too, you know, and literally, I go and I just sit down, minding my own business. These people are stating things that they think I am as well, and they go above and beyond. Now, mind you, I had amnesia, I had no inclinations to do anything wrong to them at all. I was just minding my business. They came there to start stuff with me. What I ended up doing was I left the restaurant, the coffee shop, because I was pissed off. They were laughing at me because it was a ritual. That's what I found out. It was a satanic ritual because they sold out at the time. I'm a I'm just gonna refer to them as their actual names. Z and Sarah. Both of them show up at the coffee shop. I see Ariana as well, but she's not in the coffee shop because she's too scared to go in there to talk to me. What I didn't know is that they've been talking to her, manipulating her, and coercively and consistently implanting thoughts in her brain to make her afraid of me. So she drives off, pretty much blows off the date because of them, you know, and it's not her fault, really. I kind of blame them for everything. And at the time, I was on TikTok as well. Like I was using it regularly in 2024. And I go on there like I think it was that night. And both of them are in the chat, but they're in like on a different account, on a burner account or whatever, fake account. And they're like, aren't you like eaten up by it or whatever? I'm like, because I had already dealt with everything. I'm like, no, why would I be? You know, they took offense to that. They got slighted, and then they started on with the whole smear campaign and stalking campaign after that. Like, they said, oh boy, here it comes, or something along the lines of that. And then they went scorched earth on me for the next 2 years. In 2024, in October, during Halloween, I go home from work. I'm having a good time. I look over, I see retard in a car. She gets out of the car. Guess who's with her? Not her husband. She's with somebody that looks exactly like me, but with a shorter beard and a cowboy hat. They're there for a Halloween party at my neighbor's house. And I look over at them and they look pissed that I saw them. They were trying to fix themselves or dress themselves appropriately and like fix their dresses and suits and whatnot. And retard Sarah is like trying real hard to like make herself look, you know, because I'm not falling for it. Because they wanted me to fall for a trap, you know. Before this happened, I went to the coffee shop again a week later. Before that Halloween. And a week later, I'm not even kidding, I do the same thing but at a smaller table. I'm not there for Ariana this time, I'm there for myself. So I'm there going on a practice date with myself because Ariana had possibly released the Yes and music video. So I'm like, okay, what's it gonna hurt to just be with myself, Like enjoy coffee, journal, enjoy the fresh air, the vibes, you know. Retard shows up there without her husband this time. Well, actually, they're both there. What I didn't know is that he was in the bathroom. I go. No, I don't get up at all except when I'm about to leave. Um, Sarah's at a different place, like up front by the door, pretty much. She is doing her own thing. All of a sudden, she starts crying out of nowhere. Not sure why at all. Her husband comes out of the bathroom. I was wearing a different winter jacket at the time. I was wearing one that was kind of soft and stuff. He rubs up against my jacket with his hand, and then he smacks and rapes his wife right in front of me. And then she runs off right away to the hospital to go get a DNA test. That's proof. I went to Target, which was like literally near the hospital. I didn't go there for her. I went there for myself. I knew she went to the hospital because she was there being a retard, I go to Target to get myself a blanket. And I go home. That's what I did. Now, at the time, I wasn't sure about the whole gang stalking stuff or whatever. because, you know, Sarah said some really outlandish things about me at the time, and she was trying to prove her truth by getting me to a point where I could say these things later on in the future. So it took 2 years, but she got me to say that I really hate her. And, never mind the fact that she was involved in satanic witchcraft after she's allegedly Christian, and that she's going around slandering my name. She went to the ice cream shop too, and she starts calling me a pervert and a creep and stuff. That's part of the slander smear campaign, and that's part of the Barack Obama syndrome that she loves. She's under the dome of Barack every day, you know. She went out of her way to make an enemy out of me again because she wanted to be. I had already tried to respect her boundaries because that's what it was about. She wanted to be my enemy. She didn't want to be, if I'm outcasting you in my life and I'm creating boundaries with you and you can't take no for an answer, you're a narcissist. You're a Jezebel. So, those two are just complete idiots for coming after me, for one thing. I know Z was with Ariana in 2023. Ironically, it was before she released the album. She had a contest, I think, to where people could show up there at the studio and then they got pictures with her. Z was one of those people that showed up there and took a picture with her. And I'm like, oh, cool, this is actually really cool, And then Sarah is on TikTok on my random feed talking about it because she's miserable about it. Because she's like, well, my husband left me and all this other stuff for her. That's what she was saying in the TikTok. And she said, and I quote, "Oh, I already got revenge on you." And then she had this sadistic smile on her face. It's like, geez, dude. Seriously. TikTok was temporarily shut down when I mentioned that. And then after that, it came back online. It's because Retard had it on her TikTok. And she got caught for it. And because she didn't want to get caught, she decided to have it shut down and then get it taken off. And then bring it back up just coincidentally, Because everybody will believe a bimbo with $1 billion because everybody does things for money, even things that they don't agree with. But nobody will believe somebody who's being targeted by the bimbo with $1 billion. I went to a different coffee shop. I went to Starbucks, and this was the third time, in a row, with the coffee shops. She's there. This time Ariana's there too, and Zelko's there as well. She tries saying something to me over Ariana. And, I'm talking with somebody else at the time because I'm not there for her. I'm there for the other guy I'm talking to just for advice. And because he dealt with things pretty well, I would think, with his situation. And that's why I wanted to talk to him. I had always been cool with him. And they ruined that too, honestly. So I'm going to come back on here again in a little bit I need to do some stuff before I talk again because, like, it's a lot. I dealt with a lot over the past 2 years that would literally put anybody 6 feet under. It's that bad. So I'll come back for part two. This time I'll talk about something else. But before I end this, I'm going to talk about the coffee shop the fourth time. This time I went there a fourth time to that same Starbucks. A different day. They weren't there. You know what the two bimbos at Starbucks said? Oh, I wonder who he's married to. Oh, it's got to be Sarah Myers. No, I heard she's got $1 billion. What I didn't know is that she did it because she was making music. She made this one dumb song called the Boogie Woogie or whatever. She was playing it around town at the time and like trying to flex it. But what people didn't know is that she was human trafficking for that song to reach so much views and get so much money for it. And I'm just like, I heard that at least 3, 4 times. And then I stopped hearing it when I said something about it in 2025. That's how long, like, the torment has been, pretty much. She also tried to hit me with her car, and then she blamed it on the fact that I was where she wanted to be, even though I created more space for her to drive on the road. She intentionally went past me to try to hit me the first time, which I thought was maybe just coincidence. The second time, she backed up intentionally and tried to hit me like this, you know? And then she went like this, trying to hit me again, and then she ran a red light. All over by my house. I was on a bike path and I made more space. I was over here. Idiot is supposed to be over here. I'm over here. She intentionally goes like this. So it's a curve. She intentionally goes like this to try to hit me. And she barely misses because of where I am. I'm facing the literal curb. My feet are implanted into the curb. An idiot's trying to hit me, even though she's got plenty of space, even with the bike path. You're not supposed to hit on anybody in the bike path, by the way, which is illegal to begin with. So, and then she makes up an excuse that she said that I was where she wanted to be. What? Like, yeah, I could see if I was in the middle of the road, you trying to hit me, but not trying to back up into me, even though, you know, but I wasn't in the middle of the road. I was on the side of the road. I was on the bike path because I didn't want to get hit. That was right before I went to Michigan, by the way. The first time I went to Grand Rapids to go see Trump, or try to, and that didn't work because there was something that happened over there. So I parked under a bee's nest, by the way, during that time. I was driving the blue Cadillac, and now you see why I said Sarah keyed the blue Cadillac after my brother got it. So that's why. Anyway, I'll come back later, talk about the next portion of this. This is just a sliver of accountability for her. So